allow the two children to attend the budget every year.
It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay.
She
off your mind.
like me.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go sama us, call them hate speech. But fear not, my ego don't come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh, yo yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo yo. My ego diary politico, oh, yo yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo yo. Can in the touchlight every corner, oh, yo yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle so they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Sure. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say my ego don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. My ego diary politico, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. This one not they off in mind, oh yo yo. My ego don't come, oh yo yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that my egun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say my egun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say my egun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh yo yo. My egun don't come, oh yo yo. My people make you shout, oh yo yo. My egun don't come, oh yo yo. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Mayegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Mayegun diary politico. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary láyé bí nọ́mbà wá. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Mayegun máa bí. Àní ẹ̀sùn sọ́ra jù. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Àníyẹ sọ́ra jù. Prẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. Àníyẹ sọ́ra jù.
Bí gómìnà kówó jẹ Máyégún máa wí, àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì Máyégún ti dé. Ọlọ́pàá tó ń gba rìbá Máyégún máa wí, àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì Máyégún ti dé. Hello there. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. This is Máyégún Live. Thank you so much for joining me, and welcome to the Temple of Truth, to the No Holds Bar session called Sunday Sermon. Please read the caption of this broadcast. Read the description of the broadcast as well. Like it. Share it. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends, your frenemies, and tell them that Máyégún today, Máyégún is live. And if you have done that already, right? Thank you. So tonight, we are having, a blend of being very blunt and at the same time being very kind of like accommodating. I don't know what that means in reality, but I just feel like as we are punching up, we are likely going to also be punching down. And as we are going left, we shall be going right. Whichever direction we go tonight, it is ideal to actually give what is called the caveat, especially to those of you who just joined Máyégún's Diary Politico by chance. We use the Sunday sermon to set the record straight and also to set the brains of the brainwashed kind of straight as well. And in that regard, we do not have any respect whatsoever for the politically correct mugus, the people that would take offense simply because of the language used or the words used by Máyégún or anyone at all during the presentation or during the conversation with the callers on this program tonight. So Sunday sermon is a no holds bar session on Máyégún's Diary Politico. It is the session whereby if you are politically correct, for example, those of you that believes that we have to respect elders simply because they are old, right? It is not allowed on Máyégún's Diary Politico. We do not have any respect for these rogues, these criminals, whether they are young or old. Do you understand? So don't come here and begin to throw around the words like, don't you have home training? Do you understand? If you dare come around to begin to question the word used on this program against some criminals who are actually like the worst of the worst, so to say. So because we believe that whether they are young or old, in our own dictionary of vocabulary, we believe that the criminals also grow old. That somebody is now old criminal does not spare him or her the lashes, which is our own fundamental human rights. Don't come here and become a police, so the police that is policing our own, our kind of like our words or what we say or we don't say. Waste here. You get it is ideal for you not to even watch the broadcast at all. And just so you know, okay, we strongly believe that, you see, the best way to address criminals is not to respect them. Do you get that now? Because we believe that, you know, it won't be our own responsibility that those who have shown again and again that they lack home training, because the real people that lack home training, right, they are your criminal politicians, your criminal leaders in Nigeria. They are those who lack home training. Because what can you say? Listen, what can you say? That who raised these rogues? Who are their parents? At least, if you want to question us not respecting criminals, right? Our own question to you is that who raised these criminals? Who are their parents? Did their parents raise them to be treasury looters, to be murderers, to be genocidists, massacres, and what have you? So would you say their parents should be so proud that they raised sociopaths, they raised pathetic criminals in the public office who have destroyed Nigeria beyond any kind of like, you know, any level of repair? So don't point finger at us, okay? Point the fingers at yourself as an hypocrite, a politically correct weary, all right? Point our fingers at yourselves, because if we are those with the right home training, when I say right upbringing, we are the people with the right upbringing who will never hypocritically, right, bow our heads for criminals simply because we hopefully one day want to be like them. Do you get that now? So on my goons diary political, the point I'm trying to make here is this, right? The people that we talk about, the people that we address on this platform deserves no respect. And you, as a viewer, you have no right, right, to question that kind of a position. So the ideal thing you can do is not to watch this broadcast at all, for your own good. Do you get that? Thank you. So, brethren, you know what to do after, you know, sharing, after liking the broadcast. The next is to kind of like sit back, relax, and let's unpack what we have for us tonight. The last few days, we have seen upon the return of Athiefku to Nigeria, we have seen the gathering of a lot of them, kind of like, you know, they were talking about the situation or the current economic, you know, economic security and whatever of a situation that the Thiefnubu and his gang have brought upon Nigeria, or Nigeria, anyway, either way. And somehow, right, they are beginning to talk about how they plan to come and rescue us from Thiefnubu. Most of them were those who are the immediate past political office holders, by the way. People like Sowunmi, Amochi, the Ubima, Judas Iscariot. And then you have the likes of Rufai, the Kaduna Little Finger, right? The terrorist, you know, promoter, terror sympathizer himself, right? And many, many others too. But there are, you know, there are Nigerians, so to say, or should I say there are Nigerians that are always going to be readily available to be used by these rogues. And we believe on the other side that majority of them are currently acting like they now care about Nigeria and about you or the economy as they claim, right? Simply because they are no longer in power. So which means, you know, under 2 years, it's becoming more or less like uncomfortable to be outside power. But these were the guys who worked with Bokwari, the same set of rogues who defended Bokwari as Bokwari destroyed Nigeria beyond any kind of like a repairable state, okay? However, it is good to mention their efforts because somehow, some of us believe that this establishment, for this establishment to crash, it has to be from within, okay? It has to be from the within, and it has to be them pressing the self-destruct button. So, and the only way they can do that is through the power tussle among them There is a guy who managed to steal, to grab, and run away with power to their own shock. How did he do it? Despite all the effort to try to stop him, I think. How did he do it? Now that he has all the power, so they are about to test that resolve. There is a part of them that believes that Thiefnubu will not leave power. Of course, it won't. And there is also a part of them that believes that they could ride on the people's, the unpopularity of Thiefnubu, because let us be honest, it remained so unpopular. However, it doesn't need anybody's support, anybody's popularity with the rig system they have in that contraption. All it needs is just a few interests of some few people who are likely going to help legitimize the illegitimacy. And then the rest can be declared enemies. So this is the playbook for Thiefnubu. But to those guys like Athiefku, rufai, Amechi, and others like them, including the Malamun, Abubakar Malamun, they are all kind of like a grouping right now. They want to come and rescue me and you from Thiefnubu. So they believe that they probably could leverage on especially the obedient per se, those who are pretty much passionate about that contraption, So maybe they could leverage on that. However, how to put this whole thing together, right, without Thiefnubu and his gang infiltrating them is also a bit of a huge task on their part. Same face, same criminals, same crooked, politicians coming together to say, we want to rescue Nigeria from who? From themselves. And for who? For themselves. So my own advice, generally, is going to be the advice of Dele Farutimi when he said, listen, whatever you do, don't get drawn or don't get drowned into their war. Don't die in their war. So if you want to kind of like be part of their foot soldiers, they will eventually stand up against the Thiefnubu. Just make sure that you read the terms and conditions very, very clearly before you jump into it. Do not, for any reason, jump from the same fire to the furnace, so to say, because Buhari was like the frying pan, and from frying pan to fire to what you have today. Everybody wants to save Nigeria. They want to rescue Nigeria from themselves, right? So there is a part that, there are some kind of like instances where people believe that it seems that Thiefnubu doesn't really give a damn about how any of you feel, or it just probably doesn't even really value any of you, so to say. Thiefnubu has made serious, policy pronouncements, which have led to millions of Nigerians impoverished more. We've had a situation whereby people's purchasing power has been so kind of like so reduced to almost zero, right? That people are struggling to not only just to pay their bills, but they are struggling to even feed. Now, from what we have gathered, let's start with this. Thiefnubu came and he removed education subsidy. When he removed that, then he introduced what he called the student loan. Now, you see this student loan, right, is another greatest scam, a scam that, man, is also evil as well. Okay, when Thiefnubu removed the education subsidy, especially for the unity schools and then federal government schools, right, their tuition is almost as same as the private institutions right now, whether you are in their secondary schools or you are in their university or any colleges of education and what have you. So you get to pay more now, okay? But then Thiefnubu and his gang now went into town to say, oh, we are giving student loans to Nigerians. So reviewing that, we have seen enough of, it's like feeding people with so much propaganda. It's like doing something like, let's say, for example, giving a 1%, right, support, and then a 99% propaganda. Last month, the guy who is in charge of the student loan under Thiefnubu claimed that they have shared over, they have shared over 14 billion naira. That's what he said. 14, this was last month, December last year. 14 billion naira shared. Or according to him again, he said they have shared the money to 15 to 20,000 students. And he listed some institutions that got the money. Some got in some schools, he had about 200, 300, 150, 600, 100, or 40. Students scattered all over their charts, which is also fake, by the way. So then, before that guy in charge of their fake student loan came out to say that, okay, it was Wale Edu, the Minister of Finance, who said in one of the TV interview, by the way, he just dropped this fake number. He said, according to him, that they have shared over, they have given student loan to over 140, no, sorry, hang on. I think he actually said they've given it to over 500,000, something like that, 500,000 students. And again, this was like in October 2024. In December 2024, the guy in charge said they've only given the money to between 14,000 and 20,000 people, right? Random figure right now, right? 20,000 students, and they have shared over 14 billion naira. Now, Wale Edu said they have shared over 104 billion naira for 500,000 students. All of this just 2 months interval. Now, today, their propaganda machine has been rolled out, and according to them, right, Thiefnubu said he has now given, he has shared over, 104 billion. Okay, that's why he put it at, to 600,000 students. There is no 600,000 students that received student loan from Thiefnubu. None. But this is the problem. Okay, they would have, they will give you, it's like offering you a loaf of bread. Okay, now the loaf of bread, you have 20% of it. It's like 1/5 of it, right? Is bread. The remaining 4/5 or so of it will be propaganda. And when you try to verify this, you will meet a complete brick wall where this information cannot be verified. You just kind of trust me. I mean, trust me, I don't feel like for you. Okay? So if you go to their normal website, because they do have one, okay, where they have details of their student loan and what have you, there is no 104 billion there. The student loan body don't even have 100 billion naira. In 2024 budgets, Thiefnubu budgeted 10.5 billion naira. Remember that Thiefnubu was to spend over 6 billion or so on buying himself a yacht, remember, in 2024. While the student loan was put at a 5.5 billion. When people screamed, they increased it to 10 billion. Now they have been dropping figures, fake figures, of how much they've actually spent and how many people they've given the money to. Now, the irony of it all, it is also heartbreaking, is that majority of people don't believe them. And they themselves don't care whether you believe it or not. It's like that time when Thiefnubu was sharing rice. To them, anybody who is complaining of hunger is just somebody who doesn't like Thiefnubu. What else do you want him to do? He has shared rice. He has shared rice all over the country. And people are happy that they received rice, a cup of rice from him. It's an achievement to them, and they go to town to make it look more or less like yeah, that's a very solid standard, policy. So if you are a student and you have benefited, at least there should be 600,000 people. That is not a mean number. That's quite a number. So even if it's going to be just one or two, we should have them on this platform where you have thousands of people that are going to be watching. Do you get what I mean? So there should be one person or two persons who have received this student loan. Say, well, they paid my own, student loan. I got student loan, and it is this amount or this or that amount. I'm not saying they didn't. Don't get me wrong, because if we have to even use the available data for any reasons, right? We can say they have less than maybe 30 at most 30,000 people who have taken their student loan based on the available data. So give and take 30,000. Do you know how many 30,000 you are going to see in 600,000 people? Yeah. So give or take, they spend 20 billion naira. Do you know how many 20 billion you are going to find in 104 billion naira? This is why you ask the question, because the impact, for example, schools have reported that more people have stopped coming. They could tell. There are some of these schools that those who are supposed to resume right now, they are not, because they don't have any money to continue their education anymore. So to Thiefnubu, if you don't believe it, then that's your own cup of tea. It's because you don't like him. Similarly, they are currently now pushing the idea that they are going to increase your tariff, electricity tariff. Remember the effects of that on your household income and expenses, as well as your businesses in 2024, when they announced the first, after removal of a fuel subsidy. Then the next was to remove the electricity subsidy as well, remember? And then, now that is also going up again. Your electricity tariff is expected to go up by another 100 to 115%. Well, you probably should have read that somewhere too, if you are living in Nigeria. Just this month, your VAT is expected to also go up to 10%, and from 10% to 15% before the end of the year, if not 20%. So in all of this, there is no single incentive that is coming your way from this, heartless criminal, gang of Thiefnubu and his thieves. So there's so much that you would have to soak in 2025, as you have been told before, that whatever you have witnessed so far, is just a child's play to what is still to come. So, and I bet this is why some of these politicians, especially these northerners, believes that they have enough to nail in. As much as the Thiefnubu's sellers, the Ronukus, the Ronu Nazis, the Ronu bandits, right? The Yoruba Konus of Thiefnubu's clan, the Bat idiots. As much as some of them believes that nobody can remove Thiefnubu, they are even saying, if any attempt is made to remove Thiefnubu in 2027, for example, it's going to cause civil war in Nigeria. They've said a lot of things, by the way, because they believe that anybody grouping together right now, trying to remove Koolu, they are doing so against Yoruba. Have you heard that? Yeah, they are saying that right now. That Thiefnubu must use HGS, whether they like it or not. And any attempt to remove Thiefnubu is called, it's going to be tagged war against Yoruba. So, which means the Yorubas are going to fight back. These Ronukuzo, they are so stupid enough that they live in their own delusion, so strong. But they are pushing it, right? Yes, they are. So, and this is where it becomes more interesting for somebody like me. I want to see what's an implosion it's going to be like. I want to see what, what a self-destruct of a thing this is going to turn out to be. Now, we are going to watch them, right, kill themselves, because that's what will happen at the end of the day, right? But here, like you have it on Mayegun's diary, Political as a diary, we keep keeping the record so that when that time comes, right, you won't be like, how did we get here? How did everything just kind of like happen so fast? No, it is not so fast. It is called brewing. Everything is brewing right now. It's like when you are brewing coffee, when you are brewing a beer, right? It is brewing right now. So you keep putting the pieces together, piece by piece. And that's what we do on Mayegun's diary Political. Thiefnubu and his gang have responded to the gathering of Athiefku and others. Let me take you to that gathering. I think we should start from that. The last weekend meetings of, it wasn't even a weekend, it was last week, meeting of those who claimed that, Thiefnubu has to go. And if he has to go, right, it must be done in such a coalition-like arrangement. But the problem is, who is now going to lead their coalition? Who is going to lead the coalition? Is it going to be Athiefku? Rufai? Kwakwanso? Or Peter Obi? No idea yet. Somebody said, this is Sowunmi. It was on Arise TV, I think it was yesterday, when he said any coalition they are building to remove Koolu that is not built around Obi is a waste of time. There's so much to unpack. But let's start with, okay, which one should we start with? The advice of Dele Farotimi that quietly warned everyone that, you see, if care is not taken, right, the system that produced Thiefnubu it will produce more of Thiefnubus and the worst of the worst. And whatever Nigeria is currently facing, this is just a tip of the iceberg, they say, a tip of it, right? And let's go to that gathering where Athiefku was speaking. Let's start with this.
Opening ceremonies, because I had just arrived early this morning from Europe, and therefore needed a little bit of time to rest. And now I would like to take us back to the history of political parties to be able to really understand their respective roles, in the years. First of all, the issue nowadays of political parties started in the late 80s. Then the main objective was to drive away the military. I spent most of my political career in forming political parties. First of all, to send away the military and return the country to democracy. And then the second phase is what we are today discussing, the role of political parties in governance. And I can tell you that when the establishment of political parties started in order to send away the military, I was in the forefront together with the late Shehu Yaradua. Basically, main objective was, look, we got to send the military out of governance. Of course, we were played around by the military several times. We formed political parties. They will dissolve them. And then eventually, we ended up with two political parties set up by the military themselves, the SDP and NRC. Of course, Our own political wing, which was the People's Front of Nigeria, formed an alliance with PSP, and we came into the SDP. And these were the two political parties, the SDP and the NRC, that now fought the military out of power, and then power was handed over to the civilians or the supposedly democratic parties. Now, since getting into power, the role of political parties have evolved. Erdogan as president. Those of you, of course, when we were in either primary or secondary school, we were taught that if you have 49.5, you round it up to 50. Not so. But, yes, but the Electoral Commission of Turkey refused to round it up and give Erdogan a victory. They insisted on a run-up. And when they had the run-up, the man who got 4% supported Erdogan. Believe me, I was watching 24 hours. When the second result came out, Erdogan won by the 4% that was given to him by the person who came second. Now that is the credibility of an electoral process. Do we have the same thing here? Like somebody said, it is the court now who declares our candidates or winners, not the people. So we really are at a crossroads, on this democratic experiment. We either decide we want to be democratic or we decide to abandon it. So I believe that this seminar or conference is germane, is important, is historic, but we cannot leave this place without really marshalling out, a proposed action plan on how to get our electoral act amended and how to return the rights of the Nigerian people to elect whom they want to elect, not for the courts to determine who they have elected. Well, I think already the current system has been bastardized. Like Malam Nasser Rufai said, there is need for the entire opposition political parties to think a way out of this situation. Otherwise, we may end up with no democracy at all. God forbid. Again, maybe history is about to repeat itself. That was the threat the rest of the other political parties were facing when APC was formed. We have to learn from that historical fact. Otherwise, I don't see us proffering a solution to the current, challenges we are facing politically, electorally, and governance-wise. One aspect that was highlighted by one of the speakers here is about party funding. It all depends on the leadership, of the political parties. I remember when I was in office, from the Northeast, there was no member of the party who was holding any position that was not made to subscribe to the party on a monthly basis. And when a comparative analysis was made, the Northeast was declared as the best because we had everybody contributing, from a councillor to the chairman, to state assembly members, to national assembly members, to appointed government members, whether on boards or parastatals. Now, party funding is extremely important because that strengthens the ability of the party to challenge whatever situation it finds itself.
I know. Because of our time. Because there was so much that happened within that gathering, okay? There were people there as well, asking them questions, making suggestions, apart from these guys in the front, all about the 2027. Now, Athiefku mentioned something about opposition coming together, form a coalition so that they can have a common front that can then tackle things like electoral reform and any other reforms that they may want to push. Well, it sounds kind of like, sounds like an interesting thing. We have said something like that on this platform a few times to show that if you really want to challenge Thiefnubu and APC, which NSF is almost like in a corrupt system like that of Nigeria, right? It's just an effort in futility. But to them, politicians, there's no harm in trying. But if you want to challenge Thiefnubu, it can't be the game that is going to set the rules. Sure, you get. So you first have to, as supposed opposition, right? You are supposed to first demand for the total public burning of that fake 1999 constitution. Do amend it, burn it down, burn the entire thing. Demand for a process that will kind of give you the fresh constitution. All of this can be done within a year, honestly. You have to ask and demand for the immediate dissolution of everything that has to do with the current INEC in Nigeria, like completely, from Mamudu Yakubu and the rest of them, all of them sacked, removed, to the last person who is appointed INEC or what have you in any state in Nigeria. That's the second one. Then as you are writing constitution, you are writing electoral acts, the one that will then really guide your election to now say, okay, this process of the election must be conducted and concluded in a day, right? And the result must be whatever process you want to agree to, here you get. As an opposition that is strong enough, right? You will have to demand for that now, not you all getting ready to say you want to go for an election that Yakubu is setting the rules. Some of the signs that you can be like, okay, maybe we can take them serious if they begin to act this way. Let's go back into that hall, okay? So I think two guys asked Athiefku a question, but the first one, here, this guy.
His Excellency, the former Vice President, and it's about the notion of rubber stamp National Assembly. And you made reference that you wrote a letter to the National Assembly regarding electoral reform, and you submitted it to a committee. And the question is, that the best strategy? Because in the institutional design of National Assembly, that is where you have caucuses and the party politics is made manifest. As a leader of a political party, is that the best strategy, of engaging the opposition members in parliament to be able to achieve your goal? Because as we speak today, the opposition coalition caucus in the National Assembly, from the House of Rep to the Senate, is particularly House of Rep, is actually more than 50%. And the National Assembly is a place where if you take a decision by voice vote, they can actually move for a divide. And the point is that the opposition members in the National Assembly seem not to have leadership that is galvanizing, driving them to make change, the kind of change that you desire.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, you will respond to him and use that to round up your 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Let me respond to what you claim about, the opposition parties in the National Assembly. Immediately after the elections, results were announced and members emerged before even the National Assembly was officially inaugurated. I invited members of the House of Representatives from all the political parties to my house. They all came. I said, look, I want you to take control of the leadership of the House of Reps. Because if you all work together, you will produce the leadership of the House of Reps because of your number. Whether you are Labour, whether you are AP, whether whatever. And they promised me they were going to do it. Again, we went to the Governors Forum in Bauchi, where we elected the chairman of the Governors Forum for PDP. Again, I called the members of the National Assembly, particularly House of Reps, and reminded them about the meeting we had in Abuja in my house. Make sure when you are electing your leaders, you conform to what we agreed. They went, and they were given money, and they all dispersed. They all dispersed. Yes, and they lost everything, but they took the money. What else? I was not in a position to expel any member. I was not in a position to suspend any member, but I have shown them leadership, which they declined. I want to say here publicly, I met with a political party leadership in the present opposition. And they told me bluntly that this government gives them 50 million each. Where do we go from here? Which means if we are not careful, we are talking to some of you here, but you are recipients of the 50 million you are getting from the federal, from the APC government. You may take exception to that, but I was told by a high-ranking member of an opposition party. So, do we really want to fight for democracy? If we don't, we all go back to our homes. But if we do, I have been in this struggle for over 30 years. An attempt was made on my life. I escaped. I went on exile. I came back. But I never gave up. My businesses were taken over. I'm still surviving.
Jay, help us, help us.
Help us. So that was where Athiefku made that assertion that if everybody wants, and it's been kind of like honest, it's real, right? See, you can't do opposition in Nigeria. That's why the most talked about group today in Nigeria, they are the obedient. Because normal. Everybody just want to use everybody to get to wherever they want to get to new. If you say you are fighting for Nigeria, you are fighting for, you are not fighting for anybody, you are fighting for yourself. I mean, I don't know how to put that. Like, you are deceiving yourself, new. Because usually after every election in Nigeria, the next is for everybody to align until the next election again. Align simply means go on and take whatever you can take. If you are claiming to be opposition, this is your time to join them and become a saboteur for your own group, for your own party. Or you can just drop all the pretense and join them in eating. It's only disobedience that failed to go away. Because usually everybody just go away. After election, everybody goes away. And then when you go to National Assembly, those who are supposed to be opposed, have you ever seen it before? Have you ever seen it? Especially since this APC started, have you ever seen anywhere that the oppositions in the National Assembly walk out or oppose something that is proposed by the ruling government, ruling party? Have you ever seen anything like that? Opposition were supposed to stand up and question everything that is being pushed by the ruling party. But if you don't have that in Nigeria, because you know what? Immediately after, everybody go back to become contractors at the National Assembly. You need to make money. And if you want to go and be opposition, you don't go make money. So they all become the eye service. Those in support say hi. Those against say the eye service. And then you are wondering, like, what the heck? What happened to the half of the entire room filled with opposition? Then these low-life criminals, some of them who used you, the obedience and your wave in 2023 to become reps, to become senators. They have, right now, they have started the campaign to go and join Thiefnubu in APC. Because it's never about you. It's never about opposition about, you won't go do opposition for 4 years, but you're not going to see anything. Or that's what they say to themselves. So for you to enjoy and get contract and get a juicy committee, because they have committee, different committees. All right. So if you want to enjoy the fruit of your own labor, you need to become the eyes men, the eyes have it, or else like you go see before the end of your 4 years. And guess what? If you have no money to go and bribe them for vote again. And it's such a shame though, because you see the obedient guys, the Labour Party guys, they got all these things on a platter. They didn't have to bribe anybody for votes. They didn't have to buy election. They didn't have to buy votes, rather. So what exactly would they say they are going to lose standing on the side of the people? So Athiefku is right. Did you hear the part where he said they came to his house, right? Out of the National Assembly, right? Out of 360 House of Representative members, right? I think it is only 205 or 210, right? That are APC. I think is it even up to that? I don't think they are even up to that. No, I think they are like 197 or thereabouts. So which means you have more than 160 opposition House of Rep members in the National Assembly. Have you ever seen the 160 opposition there stand up and say, no, we say no. You won't get it to third to pass this. You will not get, no. Once they move money and give them money, they are all eyes have it. Yes, men. Out of the 109 senators they have in Nigeria, at least over 40 of them, they are of the opposition. Have you ever seen them stood up and say no to this, like the normal opposition, to argue stuff out in that place? No. Even when a member of opposition got suspended, that Ningi guy that exposed budget padding in 2024, and he got suspended for that. The remaining opposition people there, they sat there because they are those who are padding budgets. It is their budget. It is the budget that that they are going to have all their cut off. That is where they are making money, adding 4 trillion, 5 trillion as bogus projects to the budget, the money they will cash out. So they will keep quiet. You are supposed to have opposition, right? That will always kind of give the ruling party the run for their money. Or did you not see some of them singing, in December, singing on your man debt, they shall die? Labour Party, PDP, singing on your mandate for Thiefnubu. So he said they came to his house and he told them that they have to make this stand and make that stand. But the moment they gave them money, everybody dispersed. It's concerned them with Athiefku. Here is another part where other guys were kind of like speaking their mind. Listen to this.
And the second is the fact that we may not have a democracy anymore. What's going on now with the point that was made about trying to ensure that the opposition itself is non-existent anymore, and even increasingly they themselves have not met as a political party, suggests to me that we may end up in a situation where we don't even have political parties in 2027, because the internal implosion, even within the ruling party itself, will lead to a situation where that emergency becomes even more dire than we need. We may find. People may wake up in the party and find out, oh, there's no opposition. We've killed all the oppositions. We've finished with Labour. We've finished with PDP. So we are all inside the APC, opposition and non-opposition. We are fighting ourselves inside the APC. And meanwhile, the APC has not even met to even have an understanding of what the kind of democracy of the future should be. Consequently, this is a problem and an emergency largely above what I think we should even be reducing to the level of political parties and what the political actors can do. I think this is a more fundamental question about what the future of the democracy itself is, and it's not something to be left to politicians or political parties. It's something much larger than that, and I think that's where my concern comes from.
Thank you very much. Can I call Dr.
Your Excellency, the moderator, permit me to stand on existing protocols. His Excellency, the former Vice President Aman Nasir made reference to very touching, serious party matters at the heart of any attempt to form broad-based political party that will uproot to borrow from the likes of Mal Nasru, rudderless APC government. But there are issues that are germane, some of which have been adequately dealt with by particularly His Excellency Malan Nasir about internal democracy. I think the nature of the transition we had to this democratic dispensation was self-done in such a way that most Nigerians had conceived democracy very wrongly as civilianization of governance. Democracy is far beyond ritual elections at intervals. Democracy has to be a cultural issue. And that is what makes internal democracy germane to survival of any party. The worst lie anybody can tell is to tell a lie to himself. As members of the political class, all of us are guilty. We have been telling ourselves bloody lies. We say we are committed to democracy. By the way we run each of the political parties from 1998 to date suggests the contrary. Because we have upgraded the so-called value of consensus building over and above competition, like Malan Nasir rightly captured. And without that, you cannot have democracy. Parties are instruments of recruitment into leadership positions. And if you want to have people who run this democracy and run a democratic system, then the parties must themselves be democratic. You cannot give what you do not have. It's a simple rule. And so, that's number one. Number two,
you have
the issue of left. Party discipline. Yeah. Party discipline has not been discussed, but I thought it is fundamental. You recall in the First Republic, Chief Awolowo's action group expelled serving Premier Akintola to strengthen party supremacy and party discipline. In Second Republic, when we are the only tax of People's Redemption Party, Malam Aminu Kano expelled Abubakar Remi and Balaro Musa, then governors of Kano and Kaduna State. And the party survived. Wazir Ibrahim of GMPP expelled Governor Goni of Old Borno and Barde of Old Gongola. And the party survived. Now, you cannot have a party where there is no discipline. We give ourselves some rules. We say as a party, we are committed to those rules that will govern us. We have procedures. We have established due process within party. We don't follow them. Somebody will come and openly canvass for candidates of other parties. Nothing happens to him. Nothing happens at the other party. Somebody will wake up for whatever reason and will make proclamation 3-4 years before election to say, I will be committed to the candidate of the party I'm supposed to be opposing. Like it is happening now in PDP. My party, very sadly. Somebody will wake up and say he is committed to a Thiefnubu presidency. One is a member of the People's Democratic Party.
Please round up.
And nothing happens.
Thank you.
Now, we cannot have that. Then the issue of funding. I think it all borders on the commitment that members have in the shared vision. It's a false shared vision that unites members of the party. You see, somebody made the point, and I think it's very beautiful, that the parties as they are presently constituted are not distinguishable by the big ideas that each one of them represents.
Right. He's right on the part where he said what they have in Nigeria right now, especially PDP, is not a political party. It is just like a group of people with ego-tripping sort of a personality, so to say. Wike has openly sabotaged his party. Yes, we know the story behind that, right? But the thing that people don't understand is how powerful he is, that the former biggest political party, being the largest political party in Africa, is unable to actually sanction their erring members, right? They do not have the will, the political will, to punish an erring member of their party. That it has rendered them pretty much so more useless than just losing an election or getting rigged out of an election, so to say. This is somebody that is holding down their party for Thiefnubu, and it seems like there is nothing anybody can do about it, other than just to talk, rant, group, and all of that. So, the idea of starting a new political party was also muted in that gathering. Let us start a new political party. What is the party going to be called? What is going to be the ideology behind it? And they want to start this new political, it's not just coalition, it's going to be like coalition of political parties. They're coming together of a strange bedfellows, form a political party and give it a name like they did when they formed their APC. And the purpose is to get rid of the rudderless APC. So, strange bedfellows coming together to come and rescue all of us from what the monsters they created. Because these same guys, if you look at the gathering, right, you will see all of them were also involved in creating this APC, except Bokwari and then Thiefnubu, who were not present. So if they start a new political party, who is going to then be their leader or their, what do you call it, their presidential candidate or flag bearer? Well, that is also a bone of contention that is, it is a bit of a worry that is so loud, even though they are a little bit silent on it. But there is more, okay? I want to hear the other part before I play you the rest of what El Rufai also said at that gathering. Listen to this.
It was funded by the masses of the people who were members of the party because they believed in the shared vision represented.
Yeah, that part of funding of the party Nigeria is a place where looting the public fund to fund their political parties is not seen as a crime, as a criminal offense. You get that now? The moment you gain power, PDP, APC, what else? You are expected to take from the public fund and give it to your party. So in Nigeria, they don't have, member-based political party or member-run political party. They don't have it. Where you are supposed to say, okay, we have 2 million members. And these 2 million members are paying in more than 100 or more than 200 million naira every month as membership fee. And in a year, this political party makes, so that you can say, okay, money paid by members is what is being used to run the political party. That is not what they do in Nigeria. When APC, when the people destroying people were in charge of Nigeria, they were taking money from the national cover to build a secretariat that they never completed. For 16 years, they couldn't complete it, but billions of naira. You know what they will do? They will call a meeting, and their state governors, they will gather them and start fundraising. So the state governors will be pledging hundreds of millions of naira. So they expect them, but they always sort of celebrate when they had rich states. Political party that has rich states, like they use the Lagos state money, right, to fund the APC, from that primary stage. So spending using the public fund is not considered as a crime. Not using the public fund to fund the party is considered as a crime by these political options. But yeah, that is also another defective thing that they call a political system in that contraption, so to say. Let him finish what he's saying, and the other guy after him.
Funded by the masses of the people who are members of the party because they believed in the shared vision represented by the NEPO.
Thank you very much.
In 1979, Madam, please can I run? In 1979, when we were young thugs, these my friends, Malamine Kono ran for president. The party wanted to raise 10 million naira to prosecute the presidential campaign in the then 19 states of Nigeria. 10 million naira. And the rule was enacted that all party members may contribute not more than 10 naira. You contribute 1 naira, but no more than 10 naira. People were queuing up to come and say, okay, take 10 naira for me, 10 naira for my wife, 10 naira for my son, I have 5 grandchildren, and so on. People funded Aminu Kano's campaign because they had shared vision. Now, unless we have a shared vision, a party that is ideological, we cannot be able to mobilize mass funding. You cannot be able to stop people who have money to fund it. And the contradictions will continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, His Excellencies, other participants. I'd like to just say, bottom line, politics in Europe, the Americas, is bedrocked on ideology. Ideology is the basis for forming political parties. You either lean to the left or you lean to the right. That is the basis for which you have people in the UK who have generations of members in Labour Party or in the Conservative Party. Same as in the US, you have people who are generations of family members who have been Republicans or Democrats. It's based on their leanings ideologically. We don't have that in Nigeria. It might have started in the 70s and in the 80s, but that is all gone. If we want to sit here today and talk about, I was going to say also that it's that ideological belief in what you are doing that makes you take deep into your pocket and finance it. When there's no such ideology, there's no basis. If we want to go into discussing those issues now, in today's reality in Nigeria, we're wasting our time. Politics in Nigeria has been devoid of ideology, so what do we need to do? We need to form another, if you want to call it, special purpose vehicle today. Win the next election first, then we can create an ideological base for that political party. Anything outside of that is just a waste of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please restrict yourself to 2 minutes.
Thank you, distinguished Senator. Your Excellencies, my name is Comrade Babatunde Ali. I'm privileged to be the National Secretary of the People's Redemption Party, PRP. I'm representing my national chairman here, Malam Falalu. Sirs, I have just 1 minute. Some of the things I would have loved to mention, he spoke in that direction. But as I watch this city, I see a repeat of what I have seen wherever I've been privileged to sit with leaders of our people like this. Some of the issues we're actually supposed to be sober about, and in fact...
I'm not worried, Mr. PRP. Did you hear the last guy before Mr. PRP? That you know what? Let us win the next election first, and we can begin to put ideology together for a party. It's never about ideology. It is always about the next election. It's always. And it's so unfortunate, by the way, that Nigeria is cursed with characters like this, because you're not going to import these sensible, patriotic people from somewhere to come and do it for you in that contraption. Because those guys you saw in that clip there, they are the reflection of the people living inside Nigeria. I mean, they kind of will pride themselves as the fine gentlemen and women of the Nigerian political space, like they are the refined ones. It's never about any ideology. It's never about patriotism. It's never anything about that. Even if they pretended to act like it's about that, it's never about that. It's always about the next election. And then, as they have always been, strange bedfellows. The moment the sharing formula is not adhered to, and most of the time their sharing formula is to the detriment of the general populace, which is what is creating this wahala in the first place. Thiefnubu that promised thousands of people is yet to fulfill that. Is given out more than 30,000 appointments so far, both the ones they made public and the ones they didn't make public. But it's still pretty much not enough, because the most lucrative business and job in that contraption today is politics. If you align yourself with the people in power, then you have a chance of making something for yourself. And when the sharing is never going, when the sharing doesn't go round, then you have opposition. The opposition that would then probably begin to sound like they will do it better, but meanwhile it's just about themselves. That's the best they have to offer. Here was a rufai during that chat. Again, I'm trying to go through it, chap.
Loyalty to God and to your country, I think. So, in my view, you know, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a party member wanting his party to win every seat. But I think the problem that we have is that people want to win by hook or by crook. When I was governor of Kaduna State and we had to conduct local government elections, I went to great lengths to ensure that the elections were free and fair. We even went to China and got electronic voting equipment, because I believed that it was important that we knew how well we were doing after being in office for 2-3 years. And the best way to test how well we're doing was to have credible local government elections. But believe me, I was just the majority of one because I was the governor. All my colleagues from CPC and ANPP and ACN said, look, just give us one chance to do to PDP what they have done to us for 16 years. Let us write the result and win everything as well. And I said, no, not on my watch. We lost some local governments, chairmanships, we lost some councillors, but on the whole, we won in more than 3/4 of the state, which I think was okay. And as far as I know, that is the only time in the history of this republic that local government elections were held to be free and fair in Nigeria. I have not heard of anywhere else. Because people just believe that the State Electoral Commission should ensure that every seat is won by the party in power. You know, some governors have tried a little bit to concede here and there, but the attitude is that, you know, we must take everything. I hope I've answered your question, but I want to build on what His Excellency Vice President Athiefku Abubakar said about what the country faces as a challenge, because I don't think this is a challenge for the opposition. Okay? The way and manner opposition political parties are being targeted for destruction and the style and quality of governance in this country today is a national emergency. It should concern everyone. And I think this is a problem for all of us to think about and play a role in changing it. Because as His Excellency said, we stand the risk of losing democracy itself. In the last election, only 26% of registered voters bothered to come out to vote. I'm in a possession of a recent opinion poll that showed that 75% of registered voters in Nigeria do not intend to vote in the next election. That is very dangerous for us. And I think every voice must rise and come out and fight for this democracy. For those of us that are in our 60s, we lived half of our lives under military rule. We know what it is, and we don't want military rule. But we also don't want civilians with behaving like the military in their barbariga and suits. So this is a national emergency. So I appeal to those in opposition, you must coalesce into one political party. We did it in the APC and it can be done again. Okay? But to avoid what has happened to the APC, I think you must ensure that there is internal democracy in your party from day one and insist on it. You must insist that the congresses and convention must be competitive, free and fair. The question of forcing people to step down on the day of the convention and so on should be out of the window. Let people contest and know that they won. And let those that have lost know that they lost. To try again. We must have internal democracy in our parties. And I think, and I found this out when I went back to Kaduna to contest for governor, I realized that the most important qualification for being a political stakeholder, at least in Kaduna State.
Honestly, see, if you don't know El Rufai, right there where that place you are seated, you're going to agree with him. Oh, it's making sense. So, I mean, you know, it says something very sense. You don't know El Rufai. If you see, okay, if you remember, possibly, if you can picture, put it this way, if you can picture what a devil really looks like. I'm talking about a real devil. One that will snap your neck, snatch your life like that, with no remorse. Like, just picture it. That's the evil man you are seeing there. And it is indescribable. You see, It's got nothing to do with maybe, oh, it's because people don't like him or so. No. When you are looking at the devil incarnate, someone whose ways are so evil, right? And that person got an opportunity to be in a position of power. And then he showed himself of what is made of. If you see a fire, you have to run. But unfortunately, like I said, the worst of the contraption are now the ones who are kind of like offering solutions. He is currently out of power. Suddenly, he's talking nicely. It's like, we've done it before, we can do it again. El Rufai, Kaduna little finger. A man that supervised the ethnic cleansing of the people of Southern Kaduna, and he had no remorse about it. He had no regret about it. He will tell you every now and then that he has no regret. And when he was their governor, Papa, I don't even know where to start from. But those are the guys who are about to come and save you from Thiefnubu. Like, we did it before, we can do it again. We can start another political party. We can set some rules and standards. Because I did a free and fair local government election in Kaduna. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. They call him a vile little man. He is the evil man who said that Goodluck Ebele, his wife, and few others were those who were sponsoring Boko Haram. And he was also the same guy who said that, you see, these soldiers that they are sending to kill Fulani terrorists, that the Fulanis will never forget. That even if it's going to take forever, every one of you will pay. And immediately became the governor of Kaduna State. We saw what he did. When the people of Southern Kaduna, when they see anything, they'll rufai. They will run. I'm talking about someone who was a governor of a state, and suddenly after he became governor, he went all around according to him, to all these African countries, telling all the Fulani terrorists to come back to Nigeria. Their brother is in power. He didn't stop there. He started giving them money, and he said, I gave them money. Listen to this, I gave them money so that to stop the killing of our people. But meanwhile, the killings of the people of Southern Kaduna there was never a record of that until El Rufai became the governor. And then he went on to say, the burning of churches, the sacking of communities, they were done by the Christians in order to make him look bad, because they were going to get money from international donors. El Rufai said that on your national television. He is the governor. And he said the killings that you are seeing in Southern Kaduna, they were not carried out by the Fulani terrorists. They were carried out by the Christians themselves, so that to make him look bad and also to get donation. All the churches burned by these, Islamists in Kaduna. He came out. He is their governor. Then he went on to say, for a second time, the Southern Kaduna, mainly Christians, they are inconsequential in the scheme of the things. And they wouldn't need them, because they were saying that they will not vote for him again. They will not vote for him again. What did he do? He decided to float a Muslim ticket to appeal to their Islamic fundamentalist or extremist in that Kaduna. Then they went on to rig the election for him for the second time. Then he said, I told you, these Christians are inconsequential. It was the same guy who sold the idea of a Muslim ticket to Thiefnubu. Ordinarily, Thiefnubu, that is a politician, would never go, as useless as he is, right? He would never go with a Muslim. It was this evil guy that sold the idea that that's the only way they can convince the northern clerics to support Thiefnubu. The Christians in northern Nigeria are inconsequential. They are nothing. If Thiefnubu needed a vote, he needed to pick up a Muslim. And yeah, the rest is history today. So he's a terrorist who can speak English. And he was the moment he left power, when last did you hear about the killings in southern Kaduna? When last? That should tell you everything you need to know about that evil being. But Nigeria is populated by evil beings who can speak English. And then Nigerians themselves who are suffering from the Stockholm syndrome. They will tell you that doesn't matter. We need to save ourselves. So if the devil is there to save them, they believe that it's an opportunity they can latch on, right? About the devil want to save us, let's just take it. And as for Koolu, this is how it feels.
You see why I never joined their club, and I will never need their endorsement, and I will beat them in every election.
Nuisance lele.
That's how the empty head Koolu. I will beat them in any election. No, you can't. You won't. You won't. But you will rig them out of any election, of course. I mean, it's you. If you could kind of get the ants of Bokwari and his kitchen cabinet and his guys, if you could twist their hand the way you twisted it, before they realized it was too late. Now he's unstoppable. There is no one to stop him, he thinks. Yeah, they will write the result. And I actually want him to write the results, the election. So I want to see how these guys are going to react. Here you get. Thiefnubu will declare himself winner. You get? And the only way that will last or be sustained is if these guys fail to kind of bond the way they are kind of like planning it. But if they manage to bond, there's a chance that the entire place will implode. I want to see that. It's not me, it's not in my hands, but yes, I want to see that play out. Thiefnubu will lose in any election. He will lose, just like he did the last time. But how he managed to compromise the entire system, to the point of Momodu Yakubu and gang turning off your IRF and then spending a whole week collating a result that less than 30% of it was eventually uploaded is what it's a mystery somehow. Or maybe it is not. It's just to kind of further expose how corrupt their system is, or the judiciary. So what exactly is going to be, what is really going to stop Thiefnubu? If you all want to go for elections, right? I've had people, I have said it too, right? They should have electoral reform so that at least, well, not be human being go conduct your charade election. Are those who are going to conduct your elections not the same Nigerians? Or you're going to import them from somewhere else? No, you're not. And according to Dele TV, to him, or hang on, which one should I go for first? Yeah, let's go to Dele. We actually said that the system is so corrupt, rigged, and it will continue to produce the likes of Bokwari, Thiefnubu, and something worse than Thiefnubu will be produced next. Scary.
The reality is that I have never been partisan in my engagement with the Nigerian state. And your ethnicity or religiosity matters nothing to me. So, fact of the matter is that I have spoken to these things for years, and it's only grown worse. So I spoke to it during the Obasanjo years. I spoke to it during the Jonathan years. I spoke to the same things during the Buhari years. And I warned against what I then called the 2 horsemen of the apocalypse. So the truth of the matter is that there is nothing I want to say today that I had not said before. So unless I'm going to personalize the issues and render the truth subjective, there is nothing I'm going to say about Thiefnubu today that I did not say about Obasanjo yesterday, because the truth is the problems are systemic. They are not about persons. You might find the person of Thiefnubu less palatable than you found Obasanjo or Jonathan or maybe even Bubu. But it does not change the fact that these are systemic problems, and if you would address the systemic issues or deal with the system that has allowed this speedy descent into hell, if you would deal with that system, then surely it becomes possible to deal with the problems. So when I was speaking to how tired I have become about constantly speaking to the issues, it is because when you speak to the issues without speaking to the system, all you're doing is that you are bemoaning the fruits without dealing with the tree that is producing the fruits that you bemoan. If you do not deal with the system that has produced Bola Ahmed Adekunle Thiefnubu, it will produce something worse, regardless of who that person might be. It's about the system. We need to fix the system. And that is what I meant when I said we need to act. We've talked enough. It's time to act. But good morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock now. And I do believe that we should now stick with the script. I just, I did my thing, you know. I tested the mic. We've had about 5 minutes. If we have time later on, if you're just catching us, you might want to dial back later on and watch. Who owns it if we don't? Because truth of the matter is, who obeys his call? But all right, let me not belabor that, but let that percolate in your thoughts. What right does Nigeria have to demand obedience? What right? I mean, if a father does not provide, he can hardly demand that the children for whom he does not provide or protect, the children he doesn't protect, for whom he does not provide, can hardly demand their obedience. Oh, wow. What right does Nigeria have to demand obedience?
Us, no right. Those who hold Nigeria patriotism are those opportunists that the system continues to produce. And unfortunately, they have remained unpatriotic, right? Unfaithful, so disloyal to a country that has given them everything. So if there is anybody to be punished, if there are a group of people to be punished for wasting the patriotism that is expected of them after all they got from Nigeria. It should be your criminal politicians. 100%. You do not hold Nigeria patriotism. You don't. Yeah, I mean, there are those of you who think that you have to be patriotic to Nigeria. I'm not saying that you should by any means join the bandwagon of those destroying the country, by the way, because destroying the people is the same as destroying the country. And that's exactly what we have in that contraption. People have become so damaged. Yes, the product of Nigeria, Nigerians who have been saddled with, endless brutality, bullying, the system that has sort of like damaged our people has ended up damaging the country. So a lot of us don't have any patriotism for Nigeria. Some of us still have patriotism to our own ethnic nationalities. I am patriotic to Yoruba cause. Maybe you are patriotic to the Biafran cause. Or maybe others are also patriotic to your own ethnic nationality's cause. Because there are so many of us that would take a huge offense. Anyway, when somebody says or people say something about my own tribe or my own ethnic nationality, right? Then take offense if you say something about Nigeria. So these rogues who have been given everything, right? But what did they give back to Nigeria? Bad governance, corruption, a completely messed up system where electing your own leaders has become almost impossible. So they owe Nigeria and they owe you a lot. Not you, not the other way around. Unfortunately, they don't even believe in Nigeria themselves. These are a bunch of criminals that will loot Nigeria, put the money elsewhere, not in Nigeria. Then they turn around and expect you to be patriotic about that place. So it is the system they have created that has sustained them and sustained their criminality as well. So if there's a call for the dismantling of the system, which I support, it is because of this reason. Because if you have a system that continues to pop out rogues, drug dealers, human traffickers, treasury looters, like these criminals that are parading themselves as leaders of Nigeria today. So why should anybody be against the destruction of such a system? Because without the system being destroyed, there is no chance for this generation or future generation when it comes to Nigeria. Do you understand? Okay. You will, if you don't, so far. Or should I say, people like myself sort of disgusts, or put it, bluntly, hatred for that system. It's not completely hatred for Nigeria. And that is why we believe that the system that they have put in place in that contraption is being sustained because there are those who are benefiting from it. And the reason why they are benefiting from it is because Nigeria is still pretending to be one country where the citizens have no rights. You are even worse than subjects. Back in the days, they would say, okay, you are subjects of so person. People who were subjects or even slaves, they were still treated well because slaves were like commodity or kind of like an asset to the slave owners. But the way these rogues are treating Nigerians, you are like worthless to them. You are just mere numbers to them. So a system that guaranteed that is not a system that anybody should defend or try to sustain. It is a system that must be destroyed, and the beneficiary of that system must be destroyed with that system. It's unfortunate that we don't possibly have, we don't possibly have the educated minds to make that happen. That's why we continue to expose the internal wrangling, which is also going to be the self-destruct kind of like a mechanism. They will destroy themselves and then destroy the system. So all we have to do is to make sure that when they are busy doing that, we must not stop them. We mustn't discourage them. We, in fact, must kind of like escalate it until the entire system is burnt down and they themselves are born with it. Do you understand that? No? Don't worry. So they were talking about a coalition. Let's go to that. Again, back to their coalition. In their coalition arrangements, here is what Sowunmi had to say on the side.
Total available PVC collected is about 86 million or thereabout. Someone cannot earn 8.6 million votes, and you all will be saying that unless you merge, you don't have the ability to stimulate and go into the process of the field and get Nigerians, first of all, to even be willing to take a stand on election. That's a very lazy approach. The second is that if you look at our last numbers, you would even say that if they want to build any opposition, going by the last numbers, they have to build it around Peter, because at least he was able to come with the votes of the Southeast, that of the South-South, that of the Federal Capital Territory, and a little bit of that of Lagos. You will say that, okay, if a small child is trying to lift a heavy object, why don't the elders just help him to carry it up if they are sincere? Now, if you say that your thinkings is that you think that there's an imaginary large number in the north, I've asked myself often, how many of the incumbents in the north, the governors, the ones that are going to be needing a second term, and the ones that want to do succession, has agreed that they are going to betray their party? Okay, one or two men are upset. If they are upset, does their anger and upset and disappointment translate into the totality of the election space? Are you going to be able to win an election after 2023 only on your tribal hunch? It's not going to work. You don't have a homogeneous North. Have you asked the North Central what their position is relative to the next election? So I'm saying clearly that it's very lazy and extremely annoying that a political party like PDP is not working very hard in the field to try to make itself electable. And to do that, they need to stop the quarrel. One, for you.
I write. And then the same guy had this to say about Wike, the real catalyst within them.
You know, he who is mostly vilified, and if you like, whom when you mention his name, you are accused of having been funded by him. It is his role in the party over the years that is now clearly becoming a gaping hole. I've always said that Wike is the Achilles, the key man risk. If you are a finance person or a consultant or somebody that is in management, you'll understand what they call a key man risk. A key man risk is that one person that his functionality and well-being impacts your organization one way or the other. And I've concluded without any reservation and no apologies to anybody that Wike is a key man risk of the PDP. Had he been functioning in the PDP the way they had known him, I can guarantee you all of these things going on, he would have found a way, whether dancing, bribing, begging, speaking, bullying, to stabilize them. His absence is clearly a question of if he didn't day, he didn't day. Now, as peace returned to the party, how could peace have returned to the party when, let me tell you something that interests you. The BOT leadership sat in Enugu with all of the Southeastern leaders. They affirmed Okoye. Yet, they were invited to a meeting in Wadata House that had Awanya, whom they say they don't want, seated there. They watched Okoye get bullied out of the place, and yet they did not protest. They didn't leave the place. They sat down there. They completed the meeting. They gave a communique. So you get the impression that the elders have become like children who don't have the capability and the strength of character to say, this is our position, and we're standing by it. And then what do you want the party to do? The members, people like us that are passionate members of the party, slowly but gradually, we're beginning to accept the reality that it's almost a nunc dimittis. If you have ever lost a parent or a loved one that is elderly, you know that process when they go to the hospital, you are visiting them every day, and sometimes you get to a point where you just know that, okay, you can't strangle them, you can't kill them, you don't want them to put up the oxygen, but you know that you're going to come and they're going to tell you that it's all over. That's what the BDP is doing to itself. It's in an ICT intensive care. It's blaming everybody but itself. We have blamed the president for even taking Wiki. We have not blamed ourselves for not having someone that has the balls and the capacity to reverse the process. We have blamed other people for causing problems that we're the ones causing ourselves, or they are the ones causing themselves. We have blamed, oh, we're going to do a united merger, a merger that does not give you the powers to deregister the PDP or to deregister any of the other party. So my sister, my brother, Steve, my man, I think that I've accepted that everything that has a beginning can sometimes have an end. My hope is that maybe by us speaking some truth to them, they can take a halt and ask themselves that really what is the problem? And my consolation, if there be any, is that the crisis is only at the top. The baseline of the party at the ward level is a bit stable. The party at the local government level is stable. The party at the states, in most of the states, is stable. The party in the zones, minus a little bit of the issues in the southeast, is a bit stable. We're not having any problem in the zone of the southwest. We're not having in the south. We don't really have any major problem in the north central, northeast, and northwest. So maybe the only problem we have is in the NWC. And then you look at the NWC itself. Perhaps we should say the only issue we have is maybe the top two. We don't seem to have any problem with the national organizing. We don't really have any problem with the publicity and all the others. So if they can recognize that you can't continue like this in an election, in a situation when we have lost 3 elections back to back, blaming everybody except ourselves, I think we will be okay. But those who want to leave the party, who are tired and think that maybe they can do some amalgamation of decamping that they are calling merger, they should just decamp and let the party have peace. If some of them even leave to this their so-called merger process, maybe we'll be able to see who is left. Maybe the ones that will be left will be like orphans who will then know that their fathers and mothers are dead and they now have to, on their own energy, move themselves forward. But something has to give. It's nasty because it's giving the whole country and the democratic conversation in the country, is making it look untidy. It's making it look uninspiring. It's wearing out all the young people in the country and people that are potential voters.
We will work with you to build a Nigeria that is not corrupt.
I bring you a message of hope.
We are going to spend a lot of resources on education.
If you can define confusion, it is what PDP is. And even though a lot of people are proposing revolution, but a revolution itself must have a bit of a head, don't you think? And there must be something that is going to actually lead to a revolution, to be honest. Nigeria is due for one, no doubt. But if you want to have a revolution, something has to kind of like lead to it. The French Revolution of the 18th, was it 18th or 19th century, was because of the price of bread. Now, we don't have that luxury today in that contraption, where people are divided along ethnic, tribal, and religious line. But there is something that we probably will share or have in common, and that is the consequences of bad governance, which has created so much hunger in the land. But that itself is not a motivating factor per se. So there must be something. There must be kind of like, for example, a a rigged election is always a very good ingredient for a revolution. And that is why those of you that they are going to lure into this their fake 2027 race, there's something you should have at the back of your mind that if for any reason you ended up participating, and yes, you are going to be rigged again, the ideal thing to break yourself free from these charlatans, these career criminals, and Thiefnubu himself, is never to listen to them. Because somehow, some of them believes, right, that they have a lot to lose if a revolution takes place and it is not them that orchestrated it. You understand? Like, they will be sacrificed too. Yeah. If a revolution breaks out tomorrow in that contraption, Nigeria, don't think people are just going to go after APCO. They will also go after PDP. They will go after the rich people. They will go after just everyone, including that your uncle, that you think, na grace of God, gave him his wealth. And that is their fear. They will go after Obi. Obi himself will run. This is not, sorry, this is actually the truth. Because what happened is, you will be hearing things like, eat the rich, eat the rich. The frustration of the people in that contraption today might be sort of championed by the criminal politicians, but they are not alone. It is the collection of all these bodies that are culminated into what you have in that contraption today. The politicians are just the most popular among them. So a revolution that will kick off in that, something will trigger it. It could be election. And usually the one that really works well is when a revolution kicks off by through a rigged election, an election that is disputed. And then it's going to be a free-for-all. There's no one that's going to sit down and say, let us start a revolution. It doesn't really work that way. And Nigeria is so due for one. And the people that are going to make it happen, they are the political class, the elites, the traditional rulers. Have you seen this video? Sorry if you don't understand Yoruba. This one happened somewhere in Ogun State, where a supposed a king, the guy, I couldn't see his face, right? A king was assaulting an elderly man that was forced on his knees somewhere in Ogun State. Let me show that to you quickly before we continue.
wọ́n gbogbo èèyàn ọgbógun tì ní mo lè ṣàánú wá sí ó fẹ́ kú ó lọ máa gbógun jẹ mo ṣàánú ẹ̀ ẹ wá fi mi sú mi alálẹ̀fọ̀ àmúyí ó fi mi sú mi òru ni mo fi jẹ bálẹ̀ tó tán
kábíyèsí mi ò bá ẹnìbọn ní ṣọ̀tẹ̀ yín o.
kí ló lọ ṣe mbẹ. máa rún ẹlẹ́wọ̀n.
sọ́ba ni àbíbálẹ̀.
tí mo retí ni pé mo fẹ́ rún ẹlẹ́wọ̀n máa rún ẹlẹ́wọ̀n. tí mo kó
ọfọyè lọ ẹ.
ó lọ ọlọ́pàá máa rún ẹlẹ́wọ̀n.
ṣé baálẹ̀ ni Wàsíù.
èmi mo lọ́lọ́pàá Nàìjíríà máa rún ẹlẹ́wọ̀n.
ṣé baálẹ̀ ni Wàsíù. ṣé baálẹ̀ ni Wàsíù.
kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ kẹ́kulé gbọ́ kó sọ fún toko ẹni bá máa jèrè tó fẹ́ ká alálẹ̀fọ̀ yìí ó fẹ́ jẹ alálẹ̀fọ̀ yìí tó bá yẹ sí mi alálẹ̀fọ̀ ní gbè ó máa sì kú ọmọ ní ó máa fi àjọ ní ayé ni láti àti ló máa gbẹ̀yìn ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ṣètò màálù jẹra àkàrà jẹwọ ẹni ọba bí ire kí lákàá ẹ lọ.
Do you understand that now? Like everyone in that contraption is just waiting for his own turn to have a little power to oppress the next low person next to them. That's somebody who is, we are told that he is a king, is somewhere in Ota, in Ogun State. And I don't think that is the Olota of Ota, because if that should be him, oh my God. So they grabbed an old man and they accused him of befriending the enemies of the king. And they have been saying all kinds of things about him. Like, like they have been bad-mouthing him. And then they grabbed this old man who claimed to be, I'm not really feeling well, or I'm not okay, like I'm not well. So slapped him. So he's siding with the people they claim were the enemies of the king. And he's like, what did I do? Kini Moshe? What did I do? And that is exactly what the picture of that contraption, Nigeria. Everyone is looking for an opportunity to oppress the next person. And then that is why you will see so many of them, they are very much in support of these lunatics called leaders in that place, whether they are like traditional rulers or they are like a political rulers or just some rich money misroad. So it is a place where oppression is like a normal thing. And the oppressed, they are fine. Because to them, if they oppress them today, tomorrow may be their turn. So they too will oppress another person. So the ideal thing is, instead of condemning the oppressors, just pray to God to lift you high so that you can oppress other people too. That's what the whole contraption is all about. So a revolution will cleanse the entire, rotten system. And when it does, it is also going to clear those who are the active players in that rotten system. That's what is called a revolution. And that is what Nigeria is due. Like I said, something would have to trigger it. You don't sleep, wake up, and then be like, we are starting a revolution tomorrow. No, that's not how it works. You can start a protest tomorrow, but you don't start a revolution in a fixed day. But there will be sign. And that's why I do want Thiefnubu to go ahead with all the plans. And I also want to see the acclaimed opposition to continue to also live in that delusion, okay? And hopefully, they will be able to have enough millions of you on their side who are going to buy into the idea that an election can remove Thiefnubu, and then they will rig you. And when they rig you, right, you would not listen to them. They are going to tell you that they are going to court. No. You would have to kind of take your destinies into your own hands. And please, I am not the problem. I am just someone who believes that except the entire center cracks and breaks, the rest of us are going to be tied to the, to the apron or to the string of this contraption. And it's never going to be in anybody's interest. Yeah? Well, we heard that, oh, hang on. This is the one I wanted to share again. the Thiefnubu's Minister of Foreign Affairs, tugaart, his name, he has this to say about the oppositions coming together to remove Thiefnubu. His words.
Listen to the talks by opposition political leaders in the last week, like Athiefku Abubakar, even Nasser El-Rufai, who's in the APC, and all of that. They are saying that the APC-led federal government is not making the conditions
Were
right
they not
for...
all in government? Did they not just leave government? Why is it that some people think in a nation of 220 million people that they have some sort of right to perpetuate themselves in government, that they must always be in government? This is our problem.
Well,
and this is why you always have this. The moment they find themselves out of government, they start grouping together to find a way to come back into government. And sometimes you will see that some of those people, the moment a slight door is opened, left ajar, and they're invited to come and take one position or the other, they come running. So this insincerity has to stop.
Well, listen to the talk.
I mean, it's not wrong, okay? Majority of them that are attending these gatherings, this is the selfishness we are talking about, okay? Majority of them wouldn't be found in any of such gatherings. They will be defending Thiefnubu today if they have been given an appointment. They are not honest. So it's always about power, really. But again, in a democracy, isn't it all about the power so that you can use the power, if you use it right, you can keep it for as long as the people are satisfied, Abi? And when the people are not satisfied, there should always be, that's why you call it democracy, Abi. There should be that window where people can say, oh, we don't want you anymore. That is where the Thiefnubu and his gang, that's where they differ. So then, this is our turn. And we are going to spend 8 years, whether you like it or not, whether our policies are for you or not. So you coming together to want to come and take us out is going to be vehemently rejected, kind of. So the right to elect and unelect them, they were supposed to be like lying with the people. People were supposed to be the one to determine whether you are going to be there for 4 years or you're going to be there for 8 years, right? But that's not the reality in that contraption. You get that now? It's not, no, it's not. So you want to come back to power. You want to come and chase us away. Did you not just leave power? Eh? Why don't you let us enjoy our own? Why don't you let us run? You are doing a poor job. You are doing an horrible job. People have been subjected to the worst kind of economic, existence ever. So the people who have the choice, they should have the choice of chasing you away. But they don't want that. They're like, no, you can't chase us away. You can't chase us away. We are here now. So we can talk about this in 8 years' time. So if the people survive till then, fine. If they don't, that's not our business. So it's going to be called treasonable felony, right? Challenging Thiefnubu in an election is unacceptable to the APC hawks. Here is the man that replaced Donyi Okwigbe when Donyi Okwigbe became compromised as an ex-convict for the obedience, right? He had this to say, he has this to say about the Afenifere. And fair enough, they have now appointed Dele Farotimi as the secretary of the Afenifere, by the way. I don't know if you have seen that, right? Now, Akin Oshintokun has this to say about the Afenifere and 2027.
Afenifere of our own description is not a socio-cultural organization, it's a socio-political organization. You see, the ambiguity came, when Chief Walolo started Agbemu Oduduwa. And Agbemu Oduduwa is that one is a socio-cultural. That he also founded Afenifere, but people tend to confuse the two. Afenifere, as founded by Chief Awolowo, is actually the political arm of any national party, of any party, right? That they will join, that Afenifere will join. Afenifere, democratic socialism, center of left, center, yeah, you know. So it is actually a political party. That, yes, that is the conception of the man who started it. In 1963, he made an address and called anybody who associates Afenifere with the Yoruba people a traitor. That was in his presidential address. That anybody who says that Afenifere is socio-cultural group is a traitor.
Who said that?
Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Go and read his presidential address in 1963.
Presidential address?
Yes, to his party, to AG. So, but the thing is that I keep on saying these things. No, Afenifere is not a social-cultural organization. The point, well, maybe part of the reason why people get confused is that during the long interregnum of the military in power, all right, you cannot have political parties.
Yes.
So that is the cover under which the politicians of center, of left of center, gather to talk. It becomes effectively, it's a political pressure group.
Yeah.
So they are observing not being seen as a party, but at the same time taking on actually the role that a political party will. So at that period, at periods like that, right, it cannot call itself a party or anything. But also realistically, right, Nigeria's politics is predicated on ethno-regional cleavages. That is the truth. So the dominant party in each of the region will actually look as if this is a Yoruba party. The same way you have Northern People's Congress as a Northern Party, or NCNC as a. So there is also that, confusion that parties in Nigeria, tended to almost coincide with those cleavages. So it's one of the reasons why Afenifere tended to be seen as cultural, whatever it is.
All right, that's
now,
yeah.
Omololu is relevant to the appointment of Dele Farotimi completely. The appointment of Dele Farotimi was made by the Afenifere that we have in the Afenifere that he represents. I don't think they even now have a deputy leader or officials.
Are there two Afeniferes?
What?
Are you saying there are two Afeniferes?
Well, I mean, those are the people. Two groups make claim to it. So to that extent, you have. I will say my own Afenifere is the authentic one. Somebody at the other side will make the same claim. It's free. It's free speech, freedom of association. No law has been violated by saying so, right? So.
Yorùbá ṣera wọn Yorùbá sọra wọn di bọ́ọ̀lù báráyé gbá tó bá gbá wọn síwájú wọn tó gbá wọn sẹ́yìn. Oh my God. Anyway, Sha. So they have two factions of Afenifere or Afenifebi or Afenifunje and whatever you want to call them. Indeed, it is a political cover. Is right in that regard, okay? It's been like a political cover, not really cultural. And whenever they wanted to have their own share, right? in the political largesse. So they pitched their tents to mostly the ruling party until the last time when the Afenifere had to pitch his tents at Peter Obi, the Obedient, and what have you. And that automatically led to the factionalization of it. The man that was the leader of the Afenifere, who retired because he was too old, Fashoroti, it was like 96, I'd be 97 or something. It was so old that he had to hand over to another very old man, Pa Ayo Adebanjo, who was then like 90 or 92 years as well, right? So the Ayo Adebanjo in charge of the Afenifere chose to go and endorse Peter Obi. And from retirement, the Thiefnubu and his gang, they went on to go and carry the old man on his sick bed like that. And they dressed him up and they said he should endorse Thiefnubu. So that was why they had to, that's why they have to Afenifere right now. So Dele Farutimi is the secretary to one faction, and then they have another faction. It is what they have turned the whole thing into right now. So finally, or maybe semi-finally, I saw this clip from the northern part of Nigeria, and I think I have an idea what it is. It is not a new video, it's an old one. And I think it was during that end bad governance protest. So now it's resurfaced, just so people will be reminded the reason why the northern Nigeria will become very hostile to Thiefnubu. And those around Thiefnubu, that's why they will criminalize criticizing Thiefnubu. It's called, they are calling it incitement, inciting the people against Thiefnubu. Down south, a lot of people believe that Peter Obi can go it alone. That the obedience helped in demystifying these northern votes, northern this and that in your 2023 charade. And so many of them believe that the real obedience, they are just graduating from secondary school. Some of them are going to turn 18 by 2027. And you are going to see the real obedience after this, after next year, 2026. So I have a video of Obi visiting a school, and I think I should show you that. Watch this. very good with the young people. You have to give that to him. And also, he's been very generous towards some of these schools. According to him, he said, as much as you are suffering from what is called the brain drain in Nigeria now, where doctors, nurses, medical practitioners are leaving Nigeria in droves, and then leaving the country with a shortage of that sort of expertise. Now, he has given out more than 1.5 billion naira since after your 2023 charade. All right. And this money were given to mostly to schools. I'm talking about schools for, the nursing schools, medical colleges, this and that. He has been giving money to some of these schools, and he said he is investing in what he believes will be the needed, resources in the future, like the medicals and all that. Anyway, I am going to call it a night. Okay. I hope I see you again tomorrow. And until then, remember, okay, the breakup of Nigeria is a task that must be done. Remember that. As you go to bed tonight, call your children. Tell them the breakup of Nigeria is a task that must be done. From the north to the south, from the west to the east, back to the middle belt. The peaceful breakup of that contraption is a task that must be done. Keeping this contraption together is like trying to sustain a weapon that is fashioned against us. If you go to church every Sunday, or you go to bed every night to pray against the weapon fashioned against you, just remember that the physical one, that is the weapon fashioned against you, is this contraption. Before you become its victim, because we are all like awaiting victims. The survivors of yesterday, they are the victims of today. The survivors of today, they are the potential victims of tomorrow. And to those of you who have survived yesterday, today, hopefully you will survive tomorrow. As you go to bed tonight, call your children, call your siblings, that the peaceful breakup of this contraption is a task that must be done. Thank you very much, and good night.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Mayegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Mayegun dayari politico. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari Nayibi #1. Àní ẹ Máyégún ti dé. Máyégún ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Máyégún ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Máyégún ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Máyégún máa bí. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Máyégún máa bí. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. Máyégún máa bí. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Kí gómìnà gbówó jẹ. Máyégún máa bí. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí bá. Máyégún máa bí. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o. Máyégún máa bí. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Òkúrọ̀ olóṣèlú. Máyégún máa bí. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀. Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀. Oníkanṣá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní má ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran. Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o, ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣàyè tú wọn síta. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran. Tẹnitẹni ọmọ Máyégún ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́hún ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù. Lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù. Bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sè mọ́bẹ̀. Èèpo ọ̀bọ̀ lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́, ó ti dọba lórí àbínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ fòyà. Àìsíwọ́lu ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o, ó kó ẹni tó bá dán o àkàmù. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì o. Ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn làkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.